at the first address of 4 exercises, we can see impermanence, various form, various ways. Only to see, look and see the truth of impermanence of all these objects. Repeating it, the breath itself, the longness, the shortness, the feature of it, the influence of it, the better body, flesh body, relationship between it, the conditioning to each other, the coming down of both body, and the result from the coming down. Every object, every bit of feature of it having the characteristic of impermanence. And then we come to the second address. We have rapture in the mind, seeing the impermanence of the rapture, of the feeling of rapture, of the feeling of the happiness, the feature, the result of it, in front of it, and the conditioning function of the feeling to the body and to the mind, the result of conditioning to the mind. Every object, every part object is impermanent. Impermanent of various form, various ways of the second subject. Now we come to the third subject on the mind itself. Representing the mind, the thinking, the thought, every aspect, and the mind of every aspect as a habit, with lot and without lot, having anger, without anger, having illusion and without illusion, as that, so on. Even the joyful mind, the mind is impermanent. The joyfulness is impermanent. The stable mind, the mind, impermanent. The stableness, impermanent. Releasing mind, the mind releasing the object attached before, the mind is impermanent. The action of releasing, impermanent. We know well about the mind itself, impermanent. The cause, the base of it, impermanent. The manner of ceasing, impermanent. And then from 12 exercise of 3 tattras, we have knowledge of impermanent, various form, various aspect, various feature. Repeat this at the exercise 12. Now we can see another truth from the truth of impermanence. This exercise having the name of seeing impermanence, but it includes some other truth in the exercise, because impermanence can give us another knowledge. You will see this because everything changes, are impermanent. The impermanence of it cause us to endure some problem, cause us to endure some problem because of impermanence of that. Then we can see the truth of dukkha. The term dukkha may mean the pain, suffering, dissatisfactoriness, or misery in whole sense. It is dukkha. After seeing anicca, of impermanence, we can see dukkha, misery. Because of we cannot stop the influence of impermanence, we have to suffer. We cannot command it. We cannot govern it because there is no we in essence. This is called not self. The life is not self because cannot govern the impermanence and the misery. No man can command it. That is the meaning of not self. If being a self, a real self, you have to be able to control it, to govern it. No, not being able to control it, then regarding it as not self. After that we can see all things under the influence of impermanence, suffering, and not self. Can be called it going on natural way, going or existing on the natural way. Dhammattitatta. Difficult for you to remember it. No need to remember it. Dhammattitatta. Going or existing on the natural way. That is impermanent, misery, not self, because it goes only in natural way. And call it Dhamma Niyamatta, going or existing under the natural law, impermanent, suffering and not self, natural law, only going under natural law. And it goes under the law of ithappaccayata. This term equivalent to you as a paticca samuppada, dependent origination. The real name, full name of it is ithappaccayata paticca samuppado. Everything had to go under the law of cause and effect. We simply call it causality. After seeing all these facts, we can realize completely that all these things are void of self, having no self. Call it sunyata. It is a state of being void of self. After that we can see, all things go in such a way. We call tathata. Suchness only. Tathata. Having realized Tathata, we can see another supreme truth, ultimate truth, and final state, which called Atamayata. No need to rely on it forever. Now we see that no need to rely on it forever. It means the cause or condition that we have relied on it until now. Now we feel no need to rely upon it forever. All these are the result of seeing impermanent. Then it concludes in the exercise 13, seeing impermanence. If as a reason of seeing more truth until atammayata, rather strange, even in the circle of Thai Buddhists. This term strange to them, but it is in the word of the Buddha. Atammayata. The enlightenment of the mind that from now on need not to rely upon these cause, these conditions forever. All these are of exercise 13. Rather wide scope of practice. Repeating it again. Seeing impermanence. From that we can see the truth of suffering. After seeing the truth of suffering, we can see the truth of not self. After seeing not self, we can see in the truth of all things going or existing on natural way, and then seeing on being going and existing under the natural law, and all of these called the law of causality. Everything has to go under the law of cause and effect. Now we can see clearly the truth of voidness of self, of sunyata. And then we can see the truth of suchness, thatness, only that, only such, not more than this. Tathata, called tathata. And finally, having realizing the truth of tathata, we can know, can feel, can experience the truth that from now on, we need not to rely upon this condition, this cause, however. Rather strange for you if I name it in Pali, it will be with the term of ta, anicca, impermanence, dukkha, misery, anatta, not self, dhammattita, going a natural way, dhammaniyamata, going under natural law, ithappatyata, the law of causality, sunyata, void of self, tathata, suchness, atammayata. No need to rely upon it forever. Only ta, anicca, dukkha, anatta, dhammattita, dhammaniyamata, ithappatyata, sunyata, tathata, atammayata. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ta. Ta in Pali means the state of being, Now exercise 30, you have to practice this. The whole night, through night, you can. Exercises 30. Now come to exercise 14. Seeing the fading away of attachment. The term virakhanupatti, seeing the fading away. Fading away of what? Fading away of attachment, as we have had before. Fading about, fading on and all, fading away, and final. Fading about, until fading all, totally. Fading away, seeing the fading away. And virakhanupatti, like a dye, yellow dye. Dye to the cloth. Now the dye fades out, fading until no yellow color can be understood by this simile. Now we feel in the mind that attachment or the result of it as a dukkha begin to fade. Now present time in the mind, realizing the fading away of attachment and dukkha. Then we can look and see after the parts, attachment in the past time. We have much attachment. Now we can know that attachment can be fade, can be fading in the same way. Even in the future, we can have attachment fading away, and by this practice, the same practice, see in advance that we can have it fade down, fading about until fading away, doing away with it. I mean of fading. I did not know a good equivalent in English to the term. And then I have to use the word fading. You know yourself, fading. Little bit, little bit. This is the exercise of 14. I mean of seeing anicca in the exercise of 13. We can have a result of fading away of attachment in this exercise of 14. I did not know a good equivalent in English to the term. And then I have to use the word fading. You know yourself, fading. Little bit. This is the exercise of 14. I mean of seeing anicca in the exercise of 13. We can have a result of fading away of attachment in this exercise of 14. It belongs to it, depends on it. The exercise of 14 depends on the exercise of 13. Now we come to the exercise of 15. Seeing the extinction. The Pali term is only seeing extinction. Now we have to know further that extinction of attachment and dukkha. And Pali, nirotha nupatsi, nirotha, extinction, nupatsi, seeing clearly, totally, seeing distinction, seeing the distinction. The distinction, if temporary, not complete, we call it atthankhamma. Cannot stand still. Being a ball, not stand still. Not complete extinct, but is the meaning of extinct. Temporarily only called atthankhamma. And if extinct completely, the full scale of extinction is called nirodha. Extinct without remainder. Now we have to kind of extinction. temporarily and ultimately. Now, attachment may be in the way of temporarily or ultimately can be of the two. Sometimes only extinct temporarily and then come again. Even so, it's a good for the beginner having it out temporarily and then repeating it until it is extinct ultimately, finally. Rather, maybe strange for you, and that in Buddhadassa we regard extinction is an element, simply element of extinction, rather than for you. Element of extinction. As a whole, we have three elements: form element which have form, formless element which formless is formless, and then element of extinction, the extinction of the first two elements of form, formless. Form element, formless element can be extinct by means of the element of extinction, the third element. Now the element of extinction is doing the function of it. Give an extinction to the attachment of our own, suffering of our own, of the mind, not our. When we say I or my, means of the mind. Exercise 15. Seeing the extinction of the attachment. The 13. Seeing impermanence. The 14. Seeing the fading away of attachment. 14. Seeing the extinction of attachment by means of seeing impermanence. It can give an extinction to the attachment. Now we come to the last exercise. Exercise 16. Seeing the throwing back. It's a speak in the way of simile, throwing back. Before this, we attach something regarding it as I or my. That is the action of a robber. Robber something from another one to be as I or as my. After seeing this, seeing impermanence, seeing fading away, seeing extinction, we cannot have it as our own. Have to throwing back, giving back to the real owner, the nature. Stop the being of a robber, the way of speaking in Somali way, and throwing back before this, getting in, now throwing back. Patinissakhanupassi, literally it means throwing back only. And so throwing of the thing we have got, have it as I or my. Back means back to the real owner, the nature. Throwing back to the real owner, the nature. The last exercise. This is the realization. This. And then we know. Now the mind throwing back on this, that thing, and the mind free from attachment, being free from attachment. And then being free from influence of kilesa, being free from influence of dukkha, suffering, misery. And know at that time, knowing at that time that now we come to the last practice. We call it Brahmacharya in Thai, Brahmacharya, Pali, Brahmacharya. Praprit Brahmacharya. Virtuous practice. Brahma, virtuous. Charya, practice. Virtuous practice. We come to the end of virtuous practice of humanity. And knowing that now the mind released from all things, and that is from the world, from this world, that is from the influence of this world, not is from the globe or the earth or the world, but from influence of worldly things in the world, all worldly things in the world. And then we call it new life. And the life beyond all influence of positiveness and negativeness, positive wisdom and negative wisdom, beyond the influence of despair of what's it. If you are a Christian, you can say that you are out of the influence of good and evil, of good and evil. The command of God to Adam and Eve, you will not eat this fruit. If you eat, you will die. The fruit of the tree of good and evil. Now we can be beyond of influence of good and evil. New life in Buddhist way, even in the Christian way. If a real Christian want to be beyond influence of good and evil, to do this. This is the exercise 60, the last exercise of the whole set of Anapanasati, development of mindfulness by means of breathing. Now you can see the whole system of Anapanasati practice divided into 4 groups. The first group, put upon the mind, upon the body. The second group upon the Vedana and the conditioner of the mind. The third group on the mind itself. The fourth group upon the Dhamma, in wider sense of all things. All things can be summarized on body, feeling, and the mind. Or even the mind-body. All these things under the meaning of the single term of Dhamma. Dhamma means all things, but in essence means the thing that give us problem and the way to be beyond the problem, to resolve all the problem. Now we think of 3 Sikha, Sikha, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, training, 3 training. But the Sikha means education of the meaning of Pali term or the Dhamma term. 3 training, 3 Sikha. You have heard these 3 words, Sila, Samadhi and Panya. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Morality, concentration, insight, wisdom. These 3 things being included in the 16th step of Anapanasati. In the 16th exercise of Anapanasati Bhavana, you can find Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Morality means commanding the mind to do the job, to do the really job, the supreme job. And the mind concentrated upon the object called Samadhi, and the insight, intuitive wisdom from the concentrated mind called Panya. Sila, Samadhi and Panya can be found in the whole set of the 16th step of mindfulness development. It looks like it will take much more time than we can endure. Someone look at it as will take much more time. Go away. Now try to endure, to practice it bit by bit. If we have it in the correct way, it will not be difficult. It can go bit by bit. Not too much time. Not take too much time, adequate time to do this. Now, it was a while. It was the practice to have a new life, As I'm sure that all of you come here to seek a new life, life beyond influence of positive wisdom and negative wisdom, to be free, to be emancipated from all problems, physical way, psychical way, mental way, spiritual way. the practice of Anapanasati Bhavana, the development of mindfulness by means of breathing in and breathing out. Yes. As we have discussed, we repeat it in memory, in remembrance, the 16th step of a group of four. The first group on the body, the second group on the feeling, the third group on the mind, and the fourth group on the Dhamma. The word Dhamma in essence means duty. Dhamma means duty, duty to save us from death, from dukkha, from suffering. Duty. We have duty to know this. Aniccaṃ, dukkhaṃ, anattā, tathā, suññatā. It will help us to be beyond all the problems. Now we finish the system of Anapanasati. The development of the mind, we can say. In reality, development of mindfulness by means of breathing. At first, on the breathing itself, breathing in and breathing out itself, and after, on the truth, any truth, depending on the breathing, on the body, on the mind, on the life itself. But every stroke of breathing, and then we call all 16 steps as Anapanasati, because we have to have some truth, some fact of truth, any kind of fact at every stroke of breathing. Means that it depends on the breathing. And then every step, every exercise called Anapanasati depends on breathing. And not only upon the breathing, merely only the beginning upon the breathing, the body of breathing, then upon the Dhamma dependent to the breathing, and can be shown, can be clear at the stroke of breathing. Now, finish the conversation. I think it's the best thing to speak to you, friend in birth, decay, disease, and distress. Wish you to have success on this practice. Worth the while coming here to Suan Mok. Thank you. Good listener to my speaking English in the way or Chinese speaking Thai. Thank you. Now let us have a last talk, interactive conversation on Anapanasati. I wanted to summarize all Dhamma into mindfulness development. Now we will discuss about the truth of anatta, not self, not self, anatta. Buddhism have a very important principle as anatta, not self. Seeing anatta, the mind was released from anything which it attaches to before, releasing self out, like come out of a prison, self-imprisonment. That is the mind attached to the self. Now we want to see the truth of not self, or anatta in Pali. Have to see in the truth of anatta in the life itself, or in the mind and body, or in the five aggregate, khanta aggregate, khanta aggregate, equivalent to khanta in Pali. Khanta means part, five part, or section, five section of life. Seeing anatta in the life as a whole, or in the body and mind as a two, in the five aggregate as a five, seeing anatta in this is it. Now I want you to see, to look and see anatta-ness. พูดได้นะ anatta-ness. Not every exercise of Anapanasati. Exercise one is see, we understand the breath. At the same time, we can see, can know, can understand that the breath is not self. Long breath or short breath, breathing in or breathing out is not self. And then the flesh body was conditioned by breath body, then flesh body cannot be self in itself, because it's a product of breath body. You can see the anatta-ness. Use the term anatta-ness, the being of anatta, at the breath, especially at the flesh body, which is a product of breath body, then flesh body is not self. Even the harming of flesh body, or the flesh body which is harmed, is not self. And then comes to the second group, the exercise of five. The rapture only is not self. And the exercise of six, the happiness itself cannot be self. And rapture and happiness is a conditioner of the maya, of the thought. then the mind or the thought cannot be self. The thought is a product of feeling, rapture and happiness, and then the calming down of the conditioner of the mind, or the mind calm, cannot be self. All these are not self, anatta. And come to the third group, the third tattva. The exercise at night, every aspect of mind, as we have discussed, every aspect, any aspect, cannot be self, product of the feeling, the Vedana, even the enjoyed, a joyful mind cannot be self. Stable mind cannot be self. Resisting mind cannot be self. Now come to the last tattva. The exercise 13, seeing anicca of everything. Everything cannot be self. Even the fading away of attachment, or the mind which is fading away of attachment, such a mind cannot be called self. And then exercise 15. The extinction of attachment, and the mind with the attachment extinct cannot be called self. And finally, the throwing out of all kilesa, all attachment, no self, not self. If you understand them well, all 16 exercise, you can see everything is not self, not self. Then anything outer these 16 can be seen. Because in 16 steps we can see body and mind and five kanta as not self, anatta. We understand this, seeing the truth of this, until to look and see that the life is self, is not self. Body and mind is not self. Five aggregate is not self. And all these compounded things as a body and mind is not self. And then I want you to have a sentence to remember. You are you, which is not you. Understand? You understand it? You are you, which is not you. Because it is a real thing of self. No real you. Only illusive you. Come from ignorance, did not know the truth of the life. He may say, for me, I will say, I am self, which is not self. You try to understand this. notพูดเล่น amusing speaking, notพูดเล่น not amusing joke, not the real truth. You are you, which is not you, and then you have yourself, which is not yourself. The same thing. You are you, which is not you. You have yourself, which is not yourself. How to understand this? You will understand the truth of not self or anatta. Try your best to see every object of 16 exercise of Anapanasati Bhavana. You can use this statement to I, to you, to he, to mine, to me, to him, to there, to them. Every term is used in sammati satya. Relative truth, conventional truth, not ultimate truth. Relative truth. Relative means relate to ignorance. Relate to ignorance. Then we call it relative truth, not a real truth, not ultimate truth. More than that, we are men, which is not men. You are a man, which is not a man. He is a man, which is not a man. Only a compounded thing, component element, compounded, such as a fiber aggregate, and we call it man. In reality, it's not a man, only a compounded thing, not wrong compounded thing. Then we can say, a man which is not a man. When it is not a man, you cannot call it American, European, Australian, cannot call it, because you know the real man, the real person. You come here as an American, you go back as a boy, as a boy outside, not a man. If you understand this, you understand the truth of anatta. Not the amusing joke, but the real thing, ultimate truth. But sounded like an amusing joke. I ask you to try to understand this. The important principle of the Dhamma of Buddhism is anatta. Seeing anatta can get rid of on kind of attachment of any kind, any respect. You have to do away with it, that attachment, the concept of I, of self. Now the usefulness of Anapanasati Bhavana of 16 steps. Look at the step by step, seeing the truth of anatta inside us. This is the first point to have a usefulness. We call it anisangsā, the flowing out of the milk, the Pali term, anisangsā, flowing out of the milk from the cow, from the knowledge of anatta. You can set it all attachment or kilesa. Now you come to know the second point of the usefulness of the Anapanasati. You have to think of 5 essence of the whole Dhamma, essence of whole Dhamma. The Pali term sara means essence, as you should remember, can the part of the wood which is hard, and hard wood, can คำเดียวว่าแก่น pit the pit
ครับบางคนพูดว่า
hard wood of the wood in Pali ก็สาระ I prefer to use the term essence. Even the pit and hard wood is the essence of the wood. Now, 5 essence of the whole Dhamma, we call 5 essence of the whole Dhamma, divided into 5. You see 5 poles at the top of the roof everywhere. 5 poles, at that. 5 essence of the whole Dhamma. The first is sila, morality. The second is samadhi, concentration. The third, panya, intuitive wisdom. The fourth, vimutti, emancipation or liberation. The fifth, knowing that emancipated or liberated. 5. Sila, samadhi, panya, vimutti, jnana, darsana. Morality, concentration, wisdom, emancipation, and knowing that emancipated. Remember 5 things. 5 things. In the whole set of Anapanasati, of 16 steps, you can find these 5 essence. As for sila or morality, it is the controlling on the mind to practice, to command the mind to practice. To command the mind to be mindful, to be in mindfulness This is called Sila. Now Sila in wider sense, commanding the mind to do the function, to do the duty of the mind. Every step, every exercise of 16 steps has such a Sila. And then in Anapanasati we have Sila as a whole. And Samadhi or concentration in exercise of 4. We have body conditioner calm until the mind calm. That is Samadhi or concentration. And at exercise 8, having the mind itself calm, to be calm, and that is Samadhi. Exercise 4 and exercise 8 is of Samadhi, having Samadhi at the front. Now come to Panya. You have to have a Panya, some scale at every exercise, at 16 exercise. Especially in the 13 exercise, seeing anicca, and that is the utmost seeing of Panya, utmost Panya, at 13 steps, seeing anicca, where the form of anicca we have discussed. Now, vimutti, emancipation. The exercise of 14 and 15. Seeing fading away of attachment, seeing extinction of attachment. That is emancipation. From the very beginning to the final emancipation takes place bit by bit at the exercise 14 atmosphere at the exercise 15. Then come to vimuttiyana tassana, knowing that now emancipated. That is the last exercise 16. And another time to call it Paccavekkhana Jnana, looking it particularly. That now manifested. Now you can see all essence of five included in the system of Anapanasati of 16 steps. Then you can say it is all as a whole of Buddhism. All the Dhamma of Buddhism, of the whole Buddhism, seeing this essence of the whole Dhamma, having five fingers for remembrance, then know that Sila, Samadhi, Panya, Vimuttiyana Tassana. Morality, concentration, wisdom, emancipation, knowing that now emancipated. The result of Anapanasati. Now you all of you are acquainted with eightfold path ใช่ไหมถ้าทุกคนรู้แล้ว right view, right aim, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And the term right, I prefer to use the term correct. At correctness, eightfold path. You can see, look and see and try all of these eight in the whole system of 16 steps of Anapanasati. When we know the truth of this, it is a right view. Then we want to, in correct way, to use it, to practice it, to be manifested. That is right aim. As for right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, easy to see all the time. We have a result of right speech, right conduct, and right livelihood. Even we did not speak, but we have a right correct speech, conduct, and livelihood. Now we are sitting still. What full of right speech, right conduct, and right livelihood. And then we try our best to practice all the way. That is the right effort. We have to be mindful all the way of the practice of Anapanasati. That is the right mindfulness. And we concentrate upon the practice, object for the practice. It is the right concentration. You try to look and you will see all eight factor, angka, eight factor of the path, which is called eightfold path. Eightfold Pali, eight angka factor. You can see and find eight factor in the whole system of Anapanasati Bhavana. Try your best, you will find.จะมากไปไหมที่จะพูดเรื่องโพชฌงค์
คงไม่เป็น
Another group or set of Dhamma called Bodhisattva. Another group or set of Dhamma called Bodhisattva. The factor of enlightenment. Factor of enlightenment. It is seven Bodhisattva. All seven Bodhisattva can be found in the whole system of Anapanasati, of 16 steps. Here you will see yourself when I say and I speak to it. The first Bodhisattva is Sati, mindfulness. You have to see all the kind of practice Anapanasati. You have the first factor, first angka, the first factor as Sati, mindfulness. The second angka factor, Dhamma Vicaya, analyzing the Dhamma and to know it. We analyze the breadth of all aspects, all categories of it, and of feelings and rapture and happiness, and every aspect of the mind, many aspects. At the ninth exercise, Dhamma Vicaya, analyzing of Dhamma. Now at the third Angka or the third factor is Viriya. That is the effort have to be used at every exercise of the whole set of Anapanasati. The fourth Angka or factor is Piti. Piti means contentment. If the contentment is the best, we call it piti. If calm down, we call it happiness, sukha. Now, sukha or happiness included in the term piti of the fourth factor. In the exercise 6, we treat upon the piti as a conditioner of the mind and have it a subject of concentration and use it as a energy or power to erect happiness. In the sixth factor is the calming down of the mind. We have this factor in the exercise 4 and exercise 8. Having the body conditioner calm, having the mind conditioner calm. At the exercises 4 and exercise 8. And then the sixth factor is samadhi itself. In the whole set of Anapanasati, we have concentration at the great scale, at every step, from the very beginning to the last. Especially in the exercise 4 and the exercise 8, we have a full scale of concentration or samadhi. The last factor called upekha. In this practice, I will call it equilibrium, butตามธรรมดามันเรียก equanimity. It has a special meaning. Upekha means look at. Looking at the back, like a hunting, looking. Look at the Dhamma we practice in correct way. Such as a simile of it in the Pali term, like a man, charioteer, holding the rope tied to the horse, drawing the chariot. When the road good, everything good, the charioteer only to hold the rope. ก็เรียกว่าอะไรนะโรคที่ถือมาจะผูกมา
rain
ฮะ
rain
นั่น
ใช้ rain
the rope from the heart only to hold the rope. When all things correct, you have only to hold the wheel. The wheel of the car, no need to do anything. The meaning of the term upekha, let it go. When all things is correct, is ready, upekha. After we have practiced the Dhamma, all exercise, correct. Allow only to look at it, go on and on by itself. The last factor of 7 factor of enlightenment. All these 7 factors of enlightenment can be found in the whole set of Anapanasati, of 16 steps. You can try your best to look and see these 7 factors of enlightenment. Now, we come to look at the usefulness of Anapanasati. Every man of every job of every life like one หาเลี้ยงชีวิตนะ
livelihood
livelihood อาชีพ
profession
บุคคลทุกอาชีพ
every profession.
A farmer, a gardener, laborer, can make use of Anapanasati in the time of the job of his function, his duty. Businessmen, economists can make use of the benefit of Anapanasati. Scientists, artists, lawyers can make use of Anapanasati. นักบวชในความหมายทั่วไปว่านักบวช
religious people
นักบวช
cleric priest
and the man of homeless life นักบวช monk of every religion we call it นักบวช student of every school. And the man who propaganda Dhamma can call propagandist. Propagandist have to use, make use the benefit of Anapanasati. Students and นักปฏิบัตินักศึกษาแล้วก็นักปฏิบัติ
student practitioner
practitioner student or practitioner have to make use of mindfulness in their function because they can have mindfulness, wisdom, attentiveness, and concentration. They are well versed in these four things and help them to be used in the moment of function of them. Finally, anyone who wants to have sudden happiness, they call it sudden happiness, happiness at that moment he wants to have, by means of Anapanasati. He can have happiness, sudden happiness at that moment that he wants it. And then they can have happiness, the passion, happiness of the passion aspect that did not bite the owner. Happiness that did not bite the owner. That is a happiness from Anapanasati. The practice of it can be both as art and science. The beauty in the practice, beauty in a spiritual way, can be called art as a Buddhist art. And the art of liberating himself from suffering. High art of Buddhism. We use the same term, high art. High art and another way, high art material way. Now in spiritual way, high art, that is the art of liberating, liberating himself from suffering. And being a science, it has to use the method of science, having the real object, treat upon the object. No need to have a hypothesis. No. Only real thing, treat upon the real thing, experiment on it, check it, prove it in the way of science, method of science. The practice of Dhamma can be regarded as both art and science. I have to use the term very friendly to you. Scientific art. Artistic science. You have ever heard this term? Scientific art art is science. An artistic science. Science is artistic of artistic. You will look and see this fact from the whole set of Anapanasati as an art, as a science, and have it as an artistic science, scientific art. You try to know the meaning. It can be called that it comprises all ways of all religion to get rid of defilement and all science and all culture. The knowing of anatta is the topmost culture of humanity, of human work. Before this, no culture such a high culture as to be beyond all problems, and to know the truth of not self, and then can be beyond the influence of positivism and negativism. We can regard it as a topmost culture by the Lord Buddha. Thank you very much.